Hello, and welcome back to London Cycle Routes. Today, I'll be showing you how to cycle from London Bridge in central London to Peckham in South London. This ride takes about 20 minutes, and you can do the whole thing on very quiet streets and protected cycle lanes. It really is a very nice ride. You can get a 10-minute train between these two destinations, but once you take into account waiting for the train and walking to the station, it's probably just as fast to cycle. It is, as you can see from this map, a very direct route. If you find this video useful, or you just enjoy watching it, then please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as I try to post new ones like it every week. And obviously, pitch in with any suggestions for routes that you might have. Okay, let's get on with it. We're starting right outside London Bridge Station, next to the restaurants, and you want to head down Bermondsey Street. This street is quiet, and it also has a contraflow cycle lane on it, which is protected by these curbs and wands here. So when you're going in this direction, you're in the cycle lane. When you go in the other direction, you're on the main carriageway. But as you can see, there isn't really much traffic on it. You wait at the pedestrian lights here, and you might need to press that button to trigger the lights if somebody else hasn't done it for you, and you just continue down Bermondsey Street. Now, Southwark Council has actually removed through traffic from this street here, and it's all the better for it. It's really quiet, and you can see that people are sort of dawdling in the road and stuff because it's quite a nice place to be. And you can see here these no entry signs here, and this extra closure here, which is a no motor vehicles sign, and some bollards that keep it nice. Right after the bollards, take a hard right into Morocco Street, and then bear left, and this stays on Morocco Street here. That part of the route has dramatically improved in the last year or so, so if you've tried it before, give it another go. Now, we're coming up to City Walk here, and you can see there's a little no motorcycles sign here. Some places in London it's a bit ambiguous as to whether you can cycle, but usually a no motorcycle sign means that you're allowed to ride a bike there, otherwise they would have put a no cycling sign. And you can see there's a car park there as well, so clearly motor vehicles are allowed in. When you get to the end here, do wait and look before you cross the road, as that can be quite a busy road, and head straight into Wild's Rent. That's quite a nice name for a street, and it's apparently named after a guy called Paul Wild, who collected rent on the land back in the day. I don't know any more about him, so if you do, then let me know. Now, you get to this junction here, and you want to turn left into the cycle path here, which is protected with bollards. And for this section of the route, you can probably see on the ground there's a Q1 on the ground, and that means that we're following Quietway 1 just for a little bit of this route here. That's a signposted route which could take us all the way to Greenwich if we wanted, but we're going to come off it quite a bit earlier. As you get to this crossing here, you'll see that there's a button, and if you're stopped at it, you might need to press it to cross the road. It takes you onto the shared pavement here, so be careful if anybody's waiting, and then go back onto the carriageway just here onto Webb Street. Again, Webb Street is filtered, it has bollards at the end of it, so there's really rarely any traffic on here, and it certainly won't be through traffic. It will just be people accessing their buildings and their homes and businesses and things like that. You follow Quietway 1 all the way through, and it's really quite well signposted here. By the way, there's a pub on the right there, I don't know if you can see it. I've never actually been, but it looks really nice, and there's always somebody sitting out in the sun. This street here is again part of Quietway 1. It's a little bit too narrow for my taste, and it sometimes has a little bit of traffic, as you can see. There's kind of an industry part, light industry retail park around, so that's the source of that little bit of extra traffic on these roads during business hours. But this was shot during business hours on a weekday, so it really is about as trafficy as it gets. I've never really seen it any worse than that. Now, we're coming up to a junction here, and if you look closely, you'll see that there's a cycle traffic light, slightly lower than the main traffic light, and you'll see it went green before the other lights did, and that's to give you a little bit of a head start over the traffic, which I think you find makes going over that junction just a little bit more comfortable, particularly if you're waiting for it. It gives you a head start. Now, we turn right here, we're still following Q1 into Chaucer Drive, nice name for a road. And this road doesn't go anywhere, it's a cul-de-sac with a path at the end of it. So again, there just isn't any traffic on it. It's really good, and you can see there's absolutely loads of people using it, even during the middle of the day, just like we are. Now, after this section of filter here, this little path, you want to look out and you want to turn right. The buildings do look a bit samey around here, so that's the best way to remember it. When you get onto Oxley Close, and look out for that green sign, and be careful crossing the road there, and it takes you onto this shared pavement here. Personally, I think this would have been better done as a little section of cycle track, but the pavement is wide and you're allowed to cycle on it. It has cycle symbols and such which tell you you're allowed to do so. And then head down Cooper's Road. This road could do with filtering, to be honest, but you're only on it for a very short period of time. You can see that there are these two cars here, although they have both come out of the estate, so they're not through traffic. They're just people, going about their business. And we're actually very briefly here following signs for Cycleway 35, C35, which should help you navigate around the back streets. And it takes us onto this filtered street here called Mawbey Road. Wait at the cycle traffic lights here, and make sure there's no one standing on the pavement when you go across. This will quite neatly take you into Glengall Road, which is a relatively quiet street. It's nice and wide, and you can see that people like to use it as a cut through. What we're doing here is we're trying to connect to the back of the Surrey Canal Linear Park, which I'll talk about more later. If you live in the Peckham area, you might know about this park. It's an old canal, Surrey Canal, and it was converted into a park. And this is where we turn into it. We turn into it right. Now, my usual warning, this part of the ride is shared with pedestrians. This path is nice and wide. It's a cycle path, you're allowed to go on it, but make sure you don't cause any trouble for anybody. Make sure you don't go too quickly, and give everybody a nice wide berth when you are on it. Otherwise, they'll get upset, and it's pedestrians, I think, tend to have priority on these things. So yeah, don't go too quickly, and just watch out, particularly when it's dark. And you can see here we're going under this bridge, and this is a clue that it's an old canal. Really quite nice bit of history. Been able to see the fabric of that there. I actually find it quite funny that they took the canal out here, because I imagine they took it out when it was sort of getting a bit overgrown and disused after it was used by no longer was of interest to industry. But I imagine if they'd left it in today, it would probably be quite the tourist attraction if once it had been cleaned up. I imagine people probably would have quite liked to visit it, but it is very nice as it is, even without the canal side view. And yeah, all these lovely trees and stuff, and it's a great place to come for a walk. And make sure you keep it that way by by not going too quickly past anybody while you're on your bike down here. This is probably a good time to say that if you enjoy this video and you found this really useful and you're thinking of using it, make sure you hit subscribe on the channel. There's a subscribe button below, and it'll show you when I post new videos, and it's the best way to support the channel as well. Now we come out here onto this, using this little bit of cycle path here, and we're coming out onto this, what I call Peckham Library Square. There's the interestingly designed modernist Peckham Library on our left here, and we are coming out, and we're going to cross Peckham High Street on this toucan crossing. That's basically a pelican crossing, but you can see it's also got a cycle symbol on it, so you're allowed to go on it. And we're going to head down Rye Lane. Now you can see here there's this contraflow cycle lane here, and you can see it's all beaten up, and the reason it's like that is because they've used fancy paving on a road which has buses, and that is never a good idea. It just falls apart. Now I normally cut out traffic lights, but I've left this one in as a cautionary tale, because you can see what happens. This is why you shouldn't jump red lights. Don't do that. It's a really bad idea, especially on a blind corner when there's a lot of buses coming around. Those guys were lucky that they did not get flattened. Yeah, always wait at red lights for your own safety and the safety of others. So we're still on Rye Lane here, and this is actually a shame. So when I shot this was fully pedestrians and cycles only. It's been closed at both ends, and you can see it's really quite fun. The place, it's really lively. People walking in the street. We can get down here with absolutely no problem. Unfortunately, Southwark Council, who are okay with cycle stuff, they have decided to end this. This was just during COVID, and they're putting buses down it again. So I really just wanted to leave this in as a record of how nice it was, to be honest. It would have been even better if they'd kept it permanent and they'd got rid of the pavements and made it all one surface, so that pedestrians felt that they could come out in the road as well, rather than feeling that they should be on the pavements. But unfortunately, no, there's buses on this road now. There's not general traffic. You should be okay cycling down it. It's not terrible. Buses are only occasional, but I think it's not as good as it's no longer as idyllic as that. And you can see the other bollards there closing it at the end. Thanks very much for watching that, guys. I forgot to mention, and I will mention now, that you can download a map of this route in the link in the description, and you can use the GPX files for whatever app or device you use. It's the same map that you see in front of you just here. If you enjoyed the video, please hit subscribe, best way to support the channel, and you'll see when I post new ones. And yeah, let me know if you've got any other requests or anything like that. Thanks very much, and see you again next time.